Most seniors qualify for a property tax exemption the moment they turn 65. Most seniors never apply for it. And in many states, if you qualified in past years and didn't apply, you can still claim a refund. For up to 3 years of overpayments. Real money. Sitting in your county's system. Waiting for a form that's never been filed. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to find out if that's you. Chapter 1, The Bill That Just Arrives. For most of your life, property tax probably worked the same way. A bill arrives. You pay it. Every year, no questions asked, background noise, one of those expenses you just handle. But here's what changes the moment you turn 65. You become eligible for something most people never check for. And because property tax bills just arrive, exactly like they always have, there's no signal that anything's different now. The bill looks the same. The amount might still be the same. Nothing about the envelope tells you that you're now leaving money on the table every single time you pay it. That's the real problem here. Nothing changes on the surface. Which means nothing prompts you to look underneath. Chapter 2, The Homestead Exemption. Here's what's sitting underneath. Almost every state in the country has some version of a senior property tax exemption. It might be called a homestead exemption, a senior freeze, or something else entirely depending on your state. The name changes. The idea doesn't. If you qualify, and qualifying is usually based simply on your age and that the home is your primary residence, your property tax bill can be reduced. Sometimes by a meaningful amount. Sometimes significantly. But here's what makes this different from most tax breaks we talk about. This one is administered locally, by your county or local tax assessor. Which means it's not something your federal tax software is going to catch. It's not on your 1040. It lives in a completely separate system, one that only acts if you specifically apply. And that separation is exactly why so many people miss it. They're focused on their federal return, and this exemption is sitting in a completely different office, with a completely different form, that nobody mentioned. Chapter 3, The 3-Year Refund. Now here's the part that turns this from lower bills going forward into money owed to you right now. In many states, this exemption isn't just forward-looking. If you were eligible in past years, and didn't apply, you can often file for a retroactive refund. Covering up to 3 years of overpayments. Think about what that means. If you turned 65 3 years ago, and never applied for this exemption, there could be 3 years of property tax sitting in your county's records that you legally didn't have to pay. Not a discount on next year. A check. For money you already paid. That you were never required to pay in the first place. I want to tell you about someone close to this. Mr. Bryan qualified for this exemption for years. He didn't know it existed. Nobody told him. The county doesn't send a letter saying, "Hey, you've been overpaying, here's how to get it back." By the time he found out, through a conversation, almost by accident, some of those years were already outside the 3-year refund window. That money was gone. Permanently. Not because he didn't qualify. Because nobody told him to ask, and by the time he did, the clock had already run out on part of it. It wasn't complicated. It was just too late. Chapter 4, How to Check This Week. So here's what I want you to do. Not eventually. This week. Step 1. Search your county's name, plus Senior Homestead Exemption, or Senior Property Tax Exemption. Most counties have a page for this. It usually includes the eligibility requirements and a downloadable application. Step 2. If you find the form, check 2 things. First, are you currently receiving this exemption? You can usually confirm this by calling your county auditor or assessor's office directly, and asking specifically, "Am I currently receiving the Senior Homestead Exemption on my property?" Second, if you're not currently receiving it, ask, "Can I apply for this retroactively, and how many years back does that cover?" Step 3. If the answer is yes, file the paperwork. It's usually a short form. Often just proof of age and proof of residence. That's it. One phone call. One form. Potentially years of refunds. Chapter 5, the state income layer. While you're looking into this, there's one more thing worth checking, because it's often sitting right next to this exemption in terms of where it's hiding. 42 states do not tax Social Security income at all. If you live in one of those states, your Social Security check arrives, and your state takes none of it. But many of those same states also offer something called a retirement income exclusion, which can apply to pensions, and sometimes retirement account withdrawals too. Here's the problem with this one. It's often buried on your state tax return. Not page 1. Sometimes page 3 or further. A line that's easy to skip, especially if your software doesn't specifically prompt for it. So when you're checking your county for the homestead exemption this week, make a note to also check your most recent state tax return. Look specifically for a line about retirement income exclusion. 2 checks. Same week. Both potentially worth real money. Chapter 6, the warning. Before we finish, one important warning, because this is exactly the kind of thing scammers target. If someone calls you, emails you, or sends a letter saying they can recover your property tax refund for a fee, stop. This is not how this works. There's no third party who can get this money for you faster, or separately, by charging you a percentage or a flat fee. This is a form you file directly with your county. It costs nothing. If someone is asking for money to access something that's free and goes through your local government office, that's your answer. Hang up. Don't engage. The real process is the one we just walked through, a phone call and a form, at no cost. Chapter 7, your action plan. Here's where we land. You now know that property tax isn't just a bill that arrives every year, it's something you may be entitled to reduce, simply because of your age. You know that in many states, you can claim up to 3 years of refunds if you've been eligible and never applied. And you know to check your state return for a retirement income exclusion while you're at it. So here's your task. This week. 2 calls. Call 1, your county auditor or assessor's office. Ask if you're receiving the senior homestead exemption, and if not, whether you can apply retroactively. Call 2, if you use a tax preparer, ask them to confirm whether your state return includes a retirement income exclusion for your pension or retirement income. 2 calls. Potentially years of money, back where it belongs. Now, everything we've covered today has been about money. But there's something else that happens around this same time in life, something that has nothing to do with your tax return. It's what happens to your sense of identity the moment you stop being defined by your job. In the next video, I want to talk about that directly, because the financial side of retirement is only half the picture. Thank you so much for watching.